All right, all right, all right. Let this get this going. Thanks for joining. Pretty Mama Cookie. All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll give it a few seconds for people to start gathering. And as you come on, please go ahead and just share this podcast because you're not going to want to let anybody miss this tonight. That is for sure. All right, all right. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. All right, all right. So, welcome to another episode of the Victim No More podcast. This is your boy Bobby Patterson, aka Bobby P. And man, oh man, oh man, you're in for a treat tonight. I am just flat out excited about who we actually going to be speaking with this evening. An amazing individual, an incredible spirit. And when you hear their story, you're going to be able to connect. I know that for sure. She is an amazing individual that I happen to have met. And I actually saved that story, when she comes on board. But please, go ahead and share this live because trust and believe, you don't want to have anybody miss this interview here tonight. We're going to have a good time. We're going to share a story. And the whole purpose of it is to encourage and empower and just show that, look, you can make it. You can make it happen. Whatever that may be. And once again, I want to say thank you for spending your time with the Victim No More podcast here this evening. Again, my name is Bobby Patterson, aka Bobby P. And we're not even going to waste any time because I am so excited about who we're going to have on board here tonight. Her story is amazing. I'm pretty sure if you've been on Instagram for any period of time or even on social media, you're going to recognize her. This is just the beginning of a trajectory that I am seeing beginning to happen. And I am fortunate enough to have her on board this evening. Let me go ahead and bring her on in. Oh, no. Let me go ahead and get Coach Sierra. I've sent the invite.
Bobby.
All right. I'm still trying to get my fingers together, getting folk joined onto the podcast. You know how it works as far as the lives are concerned. But look, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the amazing, the incredible Miss Sierra O'Brien.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Victim No More podcast. How you doing this evening?
I feel amazing. I feel amazing. Any day above ground is just a great day to be grateful. And Bobby, I'm very honored that you are invited me to be part of your podcast. I'm very honored. So thank you. And thank you for creating this platform for individuals to be able to share their truth. Because that's what I want to talk about tonight is my truth, so.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And before we get into that, I just want to kind of give a little bit of story of how I met you. Matter of fact, I met you and your incredible husband, Ty, at the Dallas event. Total Life Changers had their last leg of the Mind, Body, and Spirit tour in Dallas. I believe that was back in October. Okay. And that was, of course, an incredible event where they held the event. That was a little city all within itself as far as the resort is concerned. But I had the opportunity to meet you and your husband at the main event that Saturday. And I could just see you guys. And I was like, okay, there's something different about them. I said, we're gonna see a lot of that couple, and I seen that 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 it factor,
Wow.
and I was like, man, here we go. But of course, we'll get more into that particular conversation later on. But of course, I like to get kind of like a background
Okay.
of how did you discover, not only Total Life Changes, but more importantly, who were you before Total Life Changes? Because it is very obvious that a transformation has taken place.
Wow.
Uh, the physical is obvious, but also from a spiritual standpoint, I know we'll get into that conversation. But who was Sierra before all this began?
Wow. Well, I mean, let me take you. Do you want me to go back, like when I was like? Well, I'll give you a little bit of it, right?
Okay.
So, for me, I was born in Bremerton, Washington. A lot of people don't know that because that's just something I don't really share for whatever reason, right? I was a
Okay.
baby, whatever, Navy brat. My father was in the Navy, so was born there. Him and my mom parted,
Hmm.
and she moved me and her back to Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, which is a very, very small town about 30 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Um,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and fun fact, it is the mushroom capital of the world. So check that out, Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. It's fun
Okay.
fact. um, so, born and raised there, basically. High school, graduation, college, everything in the Pennsylvania area.
Okay.
And outside of college, I got my associate's degree in business administration, marketing.
Hmm.
Always just love marketing. Just it was always just something that drew me to it. Just like flyers and billboards and posters and platforms like this weren't available, but just always like any form of marketing. So I've always been interested in that aspect. Um,
Okay.
but before Total Life Changes, and even before I met my husband, I was just in a very low place, if I'm being honest. I was very insecure. I was making poor decisions when it came to my health. I lost a lot of my confidence. I had ended up gaining 90 pounds just from being depressed with,
Wow.
yeah, just from being depressed with the life that I was living. Kind of felt purposeless. Um, and at that time, Bobby, I was I was starting entrepreneurship. So I owned Hairport Boutique, which was a boutique which I sold wigs and hair bundles and like lip gloss and things like that. So made a lot of money my first year, but I didn't have the wisdom and the knowledge to do with that type of money. So
Okay.
imagine you're making that type of money for your first year in business, and because you don't have the wisdom, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the self-esteem, you don't have the confidence, you don't know what to do with it. And it just, the next year, business kind of tanked a little bit.
Right.
Going with it, 7 years in the making, but yeah, I was an entrepreneur. But I would say now that I was a public success, but a private failure. And when I say that, I showed up to people as being successful and having it together and having it all. But truly and honestly, I can sit here and admit that at that time, I
Right.
wasn't very happy with my life and the choices I was making and how my body was transforming in front of me because of depression,
Hmm.
and in our community, African American community, we don't really talk. We're not supposed to talk about depression. Depression is not really a thing that we
That's a taboo subject,
exactly.
unfortunately.
Oh, there ain't no. You ain't depressed. You ain't depressed. That's things that were telling me, and I try to make myself believe it. But the truth is, I was going through depression,
Hmm.
very much so depression. So that was just a little bit about me before Total Life Changes. Always had a knack for marketing, entrepreneurship. Um, love connecting with people, but I just dealt with bad relationships, dealt with and the bad relationships really comes from a sense of what happened to me when I was younger. So.
if if you care to,
Yeah.
if share a little bit as far as in your younger years, because if you remember me telling my story, I had a particular set of circumstances that happened when I was a young child, and because it wasn't dealt with properly,
Right.
then
Right.
that kind of helped lay the foundation for everything else that happened after that, especially as it pertains to how I wasn't taking care of myself from a health perspective. Kind of give us a little bit of insight as
Yeah.
far as
Yeah.
your younger
Absolutely.
years.
So, like I said, my mom, her and my father had split while she was in Washington. She went out there because he was stationed out there. So, they took care of her housing and the housing and all that, but
Mhm.
he had a lot of infidelity. Um,
Okay.
and that's what made her move back home, right? So she was a single mother for a few years, just raising me, doing the best that she could. And she met well, he's no longer my stepfather, but at the time, my stepfather.
Hmm.
And they went on, had my sister and brother, what have you. But the instance that I wanted to speak on is during that time, my mom was young and so was my stepfather. So they were always working, right? And when they're working, they were dropping us off with a babysitter. And our babysitter, she was doing it in her house. Okay.
Right.
She wasn't doing it legally, right? But
Right.
you know how it goes. But my
Yeah.
mom
Yeah.
trusted her because went to church with her, things like that. So she dropped me off there, and this is before my brother and sister. So she dropped me off there, and it
Okay.
was me and I want to say maybe 13 other kids, right? And you know, at that time, I and it's crazy. Just I can still picture the mats and everything. We would always have an hour where she's like, "Okay, it's nap time. It's nap time."
Right.
And whenever it was nap time, she would go into another room, okay? Because she'd make sure that we're all sleeping. We go into another room.
Right.
But I can remember um, being inappropriately touched by another person that was there.
Hmm.
Um, and that was hard for me. That was very, very hard for me because I was made to do things that I did not want to do. And then I was told, if you say anything, I'm going to
Right.
tell this person, I'm going to tell that person, I'm going to blame it on you. So when let's just call it what it is, when you are molested or touched it inappropriately, and you're
Mhm.
being threatened that if you open your mouth, then the fault is going to be on you. They're going to look at you. And this person was older.
Exactly.
This
Exactly.
person was older, so this person knew better. And all I knew was, okay, don't say anything. Close your mouth, keep your mouth closed, don't say anything. And sadly enough, this continued on for at least 5 years because I ended up going to school with this person. And they
Oh,
wouldn't also, yeah, I went to school with this person. So I think it went on for about, I want to say 5 years, five
so you
solid,
were constantly reminded of
constantly.
not only the actual incidents itself, but the overall intimidation factor, the manipulation,
Very much
and
manipulation.
unfortunately, that's predator behavior. I went through the same thing, the
Yeah.
exact same thing. So I'm with you on that. Okay, so let's move a little bit forward past that. Now we're into our young adult years and
Right.
going to college. You've also become an entrepreneur. Now we are going into an area as to which we begin to recognize that because that certain thing wasn't properly handled,
Right.
we've adopted certain pieces of our lifestyle based on that trauma.
Hmm.
Take us from that moment where you recognize, okay, I got a problem, but I don't know how to solve it.
It's and if I can, Bobby, I want to kind of also attach to having the absence of my birth father, what that did to me as well. So not only did I go through that, but not having my father there, not having the love from him really
Mm-hmm.
affected me as well. Because in my adult years, before I met my husband, right? I would be in relationships with men, but never thought I was good enough.
Mm.
Always felt insecure because I had not handled or dealt with properly, like you said, that little bug on my shoulder, that little chip on my shoulder, and
Mm-hmm.
not feeling like that. It caused me to make me feel like I was not good enough or that I wasn't pretty enough. These are the stories I would tell myself, like, you're not pretty enough, you're dumb, you know, and not knowing that the reason why you're telling yourself these lies is because you have not dealt with that pain, right?
Yeah.
So growing, you know, going through that, dealing with that pain, and almost dealing with it alone, because I couldn't run to my father and tell him this, and I still felt like I could not tell my mother, right? I could
Yes,
not tell my mother
exactly.
through college. As a matter of fact, the first time that she actually heard this and me tell her this story was about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and I'm 36. Yes, 5 years ago. I've held this in for a very long time out of not wanting to feel humiliated and also not wanting to hurt my mother, right? Because then I felt like I know my mom, she would put the blame on herself because she
Mm-hmm.
was the one that worked so much. She was the one
Right.
that dropped me off there every day, not knowing that when she was dropping me off every day, this was taking place. And it's just something that you don't talk about, but yeah, so it's crazy.
And I would like to interject something here. Me being a father myself, I understand one of the crucial roles that a father plays in a daughter's life. It pretty much goes like this a lot of times that the mothers adore the sons, train the daughters. And it's the complete opposite when it comes to the father. The fathers train the sons and literally adore the daughters. And our job is to affirm and confirm that young girl as she's growing into the teenage, as she's growing into that young woman. So when that doesn't happen, that standard is not set, and it could help lay the foundation for all types of craziness to occur.
Yep.
So that's why it's very, very important. If there's any men on here, trust and believe. Stay in your children's life.
Please,
Please, please. It
please.
is imperative because when you don't, it shows up even in adulthood, and they have to deal with some things that maybe perhaps they shouldn't even have to deal with. All because. So I just wanted to throw that in there because a lot of responsibility gets dumped on the mothers in this day and time. There's a lot of single mothers. But that happened because the fathers ain't there.
Yep.
And as we're seeing, we have generations now that are coming up that literally shows the evidence of what it means for a father to not only be there, but also be present.
Yep. Exactly. It's very important, and it takes a role. Like for me personally, so this is what my truth was: is I did not have a relationship with my birth father. He went on to have two other children, one being a daughter and a son. Okay. He raised these children. He raised them. Like he lived with them, raised them, supported them in college, supported their everything. Right. Then I have a stepfather now. Right. And my
Mm-hmm.
mother had two children with him. And I always felt like he treated me like he loved me, but I saw the difference on how he treated them.
Right.
Right. So for me, I always felt when it comes into not having self-esteem, not having confidence, not feeling wanted, is because I felt like, okay, my father wants nothing to do with me because he never reached out to me on birthdays, called me, nothing. And my father's no longer here. And I wasn't even invited to his funeral. Okay. I didn't get that respect or honor from his side of the family. So I never got that. Right. And then I have my stepfather here who loves me, but there's a difference. There's a difference when it comes to the love for me versus his two children.
Right. Right.
So I felt like I was not seen. I always felt like nobody saw me. So that's why I isolated myself. That's why I would not be open to telling my mom, because I'm just like, they don't understand. So I always had this thing, walking around before total life changes like I wasn't good enough. You know, as much as I want to be good enough, as strong as I show up, I still was dealing with so much of feeling like I was not good enough or no one saw me. So,
So
yeah.
what was some of the behaviors that you had adopted? I call it survival techniques. Just trying to get through because I remember just going through a period where, like you said, on the outside it looks like success, but privately, no, and to silently struggle, and you can't have that conversation. What were some of the behaviors
Oh my God.
that were born out of that?
Out of that, so I used to go to the club, right, all the time. And people, oh, she's the life of the party. She's just there to have a good old time, which I was. But I did not, Sierra did not, excuse me, my friends did not know that Sierra was dealing with all these emotions and all these feelings still, right? So I was the girl in the club that was buying shots and drinking more shots and all the time drinking to try to numb the pain, right? Trying to numb the pain. And it's crazy. So I would adopt those bad behaviors. I would be dealing with men trying to say, okay, what can I get out of you? Right? I'd be dealing
Mm-hmm.
with men that, to be quite honest, like you had to have some money to talk to me. You had
Mm-hmm.
to. Like I was looking for that type of guy. Like, what can you do for me? Because I felt
Right.
like I've always done so much and given myself so much, even involuntarily. Like, what can
Mm-hmm.
you do for me? So dealing with men like that, and of course, you know what type of men. You're not going to get your husband. You're not going to get a sustainable gentleman. Like you're not, right? So picking up those
Right.
bad habits, fair relationships. I used to be the girl that would waste time on the phones, gossiping with girls, like, oh, girl, you know, just
Right.
wasting
Right.
time, low vibration, wasn't doing really things that were going to get me forward. So those were some of the bad behaviors. The worst though was the drinking, and the drinking is a problem that runs in my family. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was just basically continuing a generational curse. Like family drinking is an issue in our family. It is. We have
Mm-hmm.
people that have passed from cirrhosis of the liver. We have people that um, you know, they have to drink. They have to drink to feel some sense of normalcy.
Right.
And I had gotten to a point where it was turning into every night. Or I remember being out to the club drinking till 3 a.m, then putting myself behind the wheel to drive, okay, after a night of drinking, saying, oh, I'll be okay. And
Mm-hmm.
the and yeah, just doing bad things like that, right? That's already bad enough doing those type of behaviors, drinking and being up all hours of the night and then going to bed, waking up 2 hours later to get ready for work. Like that's not a way to live life, you know? But to me, that was my way of numbing the pain silently, was to really just
Right.
drink. Drinking, I could forget about it when I drank. I could literally forget about my problems for however long when I was drinking.
And we know that it's temporary. That's the thing about it. We
Yep.
go into it knowing that because I used to drink heavily. I don't even think I ever said that out and open until now.
Wow.
I literally, like, I remember one incident that scared me half to death and literally got me to quit. I
Wow.
went on a Saturday morning. This is after a Friday night of drinking. On a Saturday morning, I go to the ABC store and I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting for them to open, Sierra. I
Mm.
go and I buy me a pint of Tanqueray. Mind you, I didn't have nothing on my stomach, no breakfast, no nothing. All I wanted to do was get back to the feeling that I had the night before.
Yep.
So here it is.
Yep.
I went, got this pint of Tanqueray. I go back to the apartment. I go and I sit in the middle of the living room floor. I drank that whole pint. And guess what, Sierra? I didn't get drunk. That scared me.
That scares you. Yes. Yeah.
That at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I needed to change my life
Yeah.
because to drink that much alcohol on an empty stomach, scientifically, that's not supposed to happen. I'm supposed to be passed out. I'm
Yep.
supposed to be oblivious to the world. And here it was. I was very cognizant of everything that was going on around me. I was not drunk. It was as if I had drunk some water. That was problematic. That scared me.
Yep.
What
Wow.
what moment did you have where that first light bulb went off and said, you know what, I need to do something. Something needs to happen. Because for me, I went immediately. I cried like a baby and just cried to God. That's all I knew to do at that moment.
For me, and I'll never forget this to this day. I was in Washington D.C. and went to a nightclub, and my friend was like, "Hey, you come crash at my house in Baltimore, Maryland," which is like 25 minutes from where it was, right? And I had been drinking, of course, right? I had been drinking, but I had gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm okay to drive, right? We think we're okay
Right.
to drive. So I was driving, and I'll never forget this. To this day, I was on the road, and I couldn't remember. I could remember me like kind of drifting in and out, like I was basically falling asleep at the wheel, right?
Exactly.
And I woke up. To God be the glory. I woke up, and the car was on the side of the road, stopped. Like it was a split second, like me just veering from falling asleep, veering off. And by the time I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, hit the brake, and I'm on the side of the road. There were no cars around me. Okay. There was no people hurt. Thank God that the way that it went down, it was just like, it wasn't even really, it was like rocks there. So that's what the sound of the rocks is what like shook me.
Okay.
There was no one around. And at that moment, I said, you got some stuff that you got to change, because this could have very well
Ended very bad.
And not only that, Bobby, but I had a friend, shout out to my friend Ryan, who is now paralyzed from the waist down. Okay. And you want to know why he's paralyzed from the waist down? Because somebody was drunk driving. Okay. He's a firefighter, drunk driving one night, fell asleep behind the wheel, going 80 miles an hour, ran into him. Okay. Ran into him. The car guys, I don't know what happened, but basically the guy, nothing, maybe a couple of scratches or what have you, but him, now he's paralyzed from the waist down. So to me, that instance, and this happened a week before this happened to me, for me. Wow. Doing that. Yeah. So for me, it's like, what if I was the person that took someone else's life or paralyzed somebody else because of my own me being irresponsible, you know? So that was my moment when I fell asleep behind the wheel and was on the side of the road and woke up in that split second. I said to myself, something has to change. And the change has to start with you. And I sat in that car crying for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I was crying because I was in a state of shock. I don't know if I was crying because I was just disappointed. I was thinking about everything. I was thinking about my friend who just became paralyzed, like everything, right?
There's a whole lot that runs through your mind during that moment.
So quick. And it's like, something has to change. Something does. So that was my moment where I knew that it's a new Sierra on the way. I knew that at that moment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have jumped on a little bit later, I am talking with Miss Sierra O'Brien, an amazing life changer with this incredible energy called Total Life Changes. And she's sharing her incredible story, her amazing story. And if you're not already following her, there is a drop-down box at the top left-hand corner of your screen. Go ahead and start following her right now. Trust and believe, because you do not want to miss. I already call her a big deal. I already see what's about to happen. And so I'm just glad I'm able to get this time with you now, because, you might have to pencil me in the future some way or somehow.
I will pen you in, okay?
All right. So let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
As you was dealing with or not dealing with the real issues that were at hand. From a professional standpoint, you've always been on it. From being an entrepreneur to being on TV.
Yeah.
Talk about you being on TV. I think ironically it was a TLC show. Talk about that.
Crazy. See how God always brings you signs. So again, at that time of being on TV, I was in the hair industry, right? Selling hair, right?
Okay.
So I had just started Hairport Boutique, you know, and starting to slowly like degress into drinking. So I was still drinking, you know,
Right.
just not as much, right?
Mm-hmm.
But connected with an individual, my friend at the time, his name was Jose. He's like, hey, I have my friend who needs some hair. She's going to do this TV show and we need you to come. Would you want to be a part of it? And da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, what show? And they said, Say Yes to the Dress. And I was like, oh, well, I love that show. I love, you know, yeah, I'll be on there. It's an opportunity for me to get my, like, you never know, right? So I went and did the show, which was a long experience. You know, being on television, we see the clips and it's a 30-minute show, but being there, it's all day.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. They're directing you to do this and do that, and you know, let's do this again. It's a long day. Then they're interviewing you, asking you 500 questions. You know, so.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to connect with Randy, who I still actually, it's funny enough, he reaches out to me from time to time. He's the guy that does the, I don't know if they still even do the show, to be honest. I haven't asked, but he was one of the main characters there on that show. So it was a fun experience. It was a fun experience. And I always say, God will always give you little signs, even if you're not ready. He always will give you little signs to get you to where you're supposed to be.
Right.
So and it's funny, when I was going through my phone that day, I found that little thing. I was like, oh my God, I was like, God was always talking to me, right? TLC Network, like, yeah. So that was like happened in like the start of me starting Hairport Boutique. So again, my first year, I'm making a lot of money. I'm on television. So, you know, I think I'm doing it. Like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm on TV. I'm this, I'm that. You're making money. But again, the mind wasn't right. Mine was not.
And even from a spiritual standpoint, because I remember I had some early financial success as well. And I tell people all the time, especially in the industry that we're involved in, becoming a millionaire is glamorized. Mm-hmm. And my question is this: what's the purpose in becoming a millionaire, you know, at the bank, but we bankrupt in our spirit?
Hello.
There has to be a balance. And so I can identify, you know, with having that type of outwardly success, but people not understanding, not even knowing the inner struggles that we have.
Yep.
Fast forward now, how did Sierra get connected with TLC, with Total Life Changes? How did that happen?
So it's funny. So I always say TLC found me, and it knew that I needed it, right? I can still remember to this day saying, God, I just need something. Mind you, like I said, I was just on television, thought I was doing it, made all this money. The next year, you know, you don't know what to do with your money. You're not investing it. I'm thinking buying Christian Louboutin shoes and purses is what you're supposed to do with your money, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do with your money. It's not, you know. So I'm thinking I'm doing it, and then, you know, still dealing with the same type of relationships and what have you. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of reliving this, so it's kind of crazy to me. But I'm sitting online one night, and I'll never forget this. I'm laying in bed, sitting online, just scrolling, and I keep seeing this orange bottle. Okay, I keep seeing hold this orange bottle, and I'm like, what? Excuse my language. What the hell is this? Right? I'm sitting there like,
right.
And why do people? And I keep thinking, you know, when you see it, you're like, okay, what is this, right? So then I get curious, right? So I keep scrolling, and you see it exactly. So I keep seeing this orange bottle. I'm like, what the hell is this, right? And then I'm like seeing celebrities in it. So I'm like, oh, they getting paid to promote that. You know, they get paid to do that. Ironic enough, right? Yeah, they do.
Right.
Ironic enough, right? So then I'm like, all right, I scroll in on one of them, and it says Nutraburst.
Nutraburst.
So I'm like, okay. And I was like, wait a minute. I remember having a conversation with my hairstylist. So I pick up the phone. I call my girl Tasha. I'm like, hey, what was the name of that that boggle that you was talking about? She's like, oh yeah, my friend takes the products. They lost some weight on it, blah, 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 blah. You should get connected with her, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I didn't even talk to the person. I was like, you know what? At this point, I've gained 90 pounds, right? Because I'm still going through a depression, you know, make all that money the first year, then the next year it's not so great. So I'm going through depression, still haven't dealt with those other demons that I've been fighting. So I'm like, what do I have to lose at this point for me besides some weight? Because I knew that I had gained a lot of weight, right? So I was like, okay, let me just try. I didn't even talk to the person. I just went ahead and ordered the products. Just order the products. And then I'll never forget. So at first I was amazed because they came so fast, right? Because I already like in my head, like telling myself they're not going to work. Like I know that these people are just promoting it. They just get checked. Like I'm not dumb. I know how it goes, right? So then I remember taking the products, and at the time I only started with the NutriBurst and the lemon tea. I was like, all right, because you know I was not spending all my money. I was like, okay, $112. I don't even want to spend that, but I can do that, right? So I was rigging everything, and you know, the promoted lose 5 pounds in 5 days.
5 days.
So I said, okay. I told my husband, I was like, okay, if I don't lose 5 pounds in 5 days, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm throwing it away. Whatever, right? So Bobby, I took the products every single night. They said that take 1 sachet and 16, like I did everything, right? Took my NutriBurst, whatever. And after the 5th day, I had lost 7 pounds. And for me, that's all it took. But for me, I was like, oh, I'm
I'm done.
I was like, sign me up, right? I was like, oh, this works. Like, oh my God, you know? And at the time, like I had tried, I don't even want to say the names, but I had tried so many weight loss programs. But I was on the yo-yo diet, like in a month. I didn't even lose 7 pounds in a month. So to lose it in 5 days, and I was not even exercising. I'm gonna be honest, I was not even really exercising. Like they were, because you know, you plug in, right? You see, and I don't even know. I found 1,000 families and all this, and they're just like, take these products in 30 minutes every day, 30 minutes. So
30 minutes a day.
I couldn't do 30 minutes. I had gained so much weight, I could not walk 30 minutes without being out of breath or in pain. For me.
I understand the struggle. Maybe 10 minutes for me when I first started this thing. Yeah. 30 minutes. Are you crazy?
Yeah. So for me, I was like, all right. I was on 15 minutes. So I was shocked that after 5 days, I had lost those 7 pounds, right? And then that month, I just kept going. And in that month, I ended up losing a total of 25 pounds in 1 month.
In 1 month.
In 1 month. I was blown away. So for me, I was like, if I can do this in 1 month, what can I do if I keep going? I said, what can I do if I keep going? And I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of people, of course, like you said earlier, see the physical, right? Of course, I've lost a lot of weight with these products and incorporating working out. But can I tell you, I didn't just lose the physical weight, Bobby. I started to little by little. I remember going on my walks and just being quiet to myself, going on walks and crying out of nowhere, just crying, because for the first time I had saw an opportunity of not just losing weight, but I started to feel better about myself. I started to gain real confidence again. I started to being able to have the courage then to say, you know what, I'm going to fully deal with all these things that are taking and shortening my life. Because whether people want to believe it or not, when you don't deal with depression, when you don't deal with those emotions, it is ripping you away from the life that is promised to you.
Exactly.
So I said to myself, no. And I remember saying, God, if you give me one more opportunity, I promise to pay it forward. So I just kept going. I kept going. And as I started to lose the weight, I was able to have conversations with people who I said, oh, I don't want to deal with it. People that hurt me, people that betrayed me. You know, I didn't want to deal with them at the time because I didn't have enough confidence to deal with them, because I know they could say anything and I'd be, oh, it's okay, I forgive you. No, I was able to forgive them fully.
Right.
And it's true. It wasn't for them. It was for me. I
Now, let
need.
me ask you a question.
Please
Isn't
do.
it amazing how we'll come on board thinking that we're just going to lose some weight, which is significant, but what we really signed up for was transformation. Because to get the results that you started having as far as dealing with the inner, that's transformation. That's where the real work takes place. And your transformation is sickening. Like I literally went through some of your older pictures, and I'm like, she went from this to where she is right now. And from a physical standpoint, that is amazing. But what people don't understand, when you drop that much significant weight, something on the inside has to change. It has to change. Your spirit has to change. Your thinking has to change. Because from a self-esteem standpoint, I remember when I came back to TLC, I didn't come back to lose weight and make some money. I came back, I knew exactly what I came for. I needed a transformation, and come hell or high water, I was committed to it. And it was a whole lot of hell and a significant amount of, high water.
Yep.
But it is worth it. And I just want to congratulate you,
Wow.
For making that transformation, because who is on this live with me right now, that would not have happened if the transformation never took place. Because there's a lot of people that lose weight, but they don't change.
I can sit here and say tonight, after being down 81 pounds from this opportunity, right? And I lost 80 pounds in 10 months. But
Congratulations. Y'all drop some fire for that.
Thank you, brother. I not only lost, but I gained so much more. I gained my confidence back. I gained my walk with God back. I gained better relationships back. I've even gained being able to be in a place of understanding and being compassionate for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know what someone is going through. Because I had to look at it, it really made me, Total Life Changes gave me the opportunity to look at me fully and say, this is why you are moving the way you are, because you are not dealing with the things that are eating away at you. So it gave me the opportunity, the courage, the strength to have those uncomfortable conversations, to talk to people that hurt me, to talk to people that betrayed me, to have a conversation with me, to have a mirror at me and say, you know what? If it's meant to be, Sierra, it's up to you to do it. You got to do the work. And I became committed every single day I woke up to do the work. I woke up every single day and I said, I'm taking my products. I'm going for my walk, and I'm going to continue this lifestyle because it feels better than being out to the club at 3 a.m. drinking. It feels better than being with a man that doesn't love me. It feels better than being in these bad environments. It feels better. I get to connect with Bobby Pease, right? I would have never wanted to have these conversations based around health and wellness and, just I would never. I was not that person that wanted to connect in this way with like-minded people. And that's why I was living the life that I was, because I was do better in life, right?
Right.
So to me, spiritually, I will say that I've been able to, this opportunity allowed me to connect with myself again, truly and honestly and authentically connect with myself, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. It's been able to let me really look at me and accept me for me. Whereas before I kind of put things under the rug or, and even having that conversation with my mom about what took place when I was younger, I was able to have a genuine conversation about that because I had gotten the confidence to.
It's interesting that you bring up the compassion. I had just had a conversation with someone about a week ago, and they was asking me some very intricate details as far as my journey here for the last little over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And going through this journey, I have, not that I didn't have compassion before, but it's like it got 10x
Yeah.
going through this process, and you have this it's hard to describe, but you find it hard to give up on people. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that,
It's
because I
not.
think a lot of times we give up too soon because we became accustomed to giving up on ourselves.
Mm. Mm.
And understanding, the human experience.
Right.
Ultimately, I think we all kind of want the same things, just a different route of getting there.
Yep.
And so if we approach each other with kindness, with understanding, especially in this day and time with what we've been through here for the last couple of years in this country,
Right.
I think we could get a whole lot of work done. And that's leading me somewhere, because one of the things that really, really just had me look at you real hard was how a community had basically started shaping around you and some other individuals
Wow.
based on the 15-day challenge. Talk about that real quick, because I think what you all are doing with that organization is amazing. It's attracting incredible people, and the results are happening like crazy.
It's crazy. So, you know, um, me and my husband went to the Dallas event. That was our first event, our
Uh,
first big event. We're like, you know what? Because, you got to get to a place where you got to make yourself uncomfortable, right? So I was
mm,
like, okay, I want to go to an event. And he was like, all right, let's do it. So they said mind, body, and spirit. We're like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. We love Total Life Changes. We've seen transformation stories like yours, Bobby. Like, let's go see what it's about, right? Like, we already know TLC is an energy. So let's go put ourselves in that energy, in that
right.
environment. Booked our tickets, everything. We went out there, and that event built my belief to a whole nother extreme. And I want to say this to the people online: get in the rooms. They build your belief to it. It literally took me from here to it skyrocketed me. I was like, oh my God, just to be in the energy and proximity and seeing how people are. To me, it was a little like I had never been in an event where people are saying hello and are happy and are just, like, oh, this is like,
Right.
and
Yeah.
like, and genuinely, right? Like, they're genuinely happy. They're genuinely wanting to have conversations. And I was like, okay. And so that event changed my life. And I'll never forget, shout out to Asia Darling. And actually, let me rewind back. So I'm sitting there, I'll never forget this. Last night, I'm sitting at the edge, and Detox with Jess walks by. And I had seen her
Yeah.
so much, right? And I'm like, I'm going to say something to her. So I was like, hi, Jess. And she goes, oh, hey, baby. How she is, big
That's
personality.
good. That's
Hey,
yes.
how are you?
Yep.
Da, 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 da. Oh my God, you're amazing. Congratulations. And I was like, oh my God. So that touched me. Right. And then Asia Darling, we had been seeing her all weekend, not knowing that she was a transformation winner. So she
Right.
comes off the stage and she's walking down. And I was like, you didn't tell me. She's like, I wasn't allowed to. Oh,
Yeah.
so she gave me all that. And she's like, go touch the stage. Go touch the stage. That's what I did, and that changed my life. Go touch the stage. So me and my husband, the event was over. We went up to that stage. We took a picture in front of it. We touched the stage, and we visualized us being able to tell our story through TLC, right? A month later, I'm on I think it was a Fun Friday. I was on there, and they were announcing, hey, we're going to do this 15-day challenge, And we're like, okay. If you want to be Team John, if you want to be Team Rosa, you know how they are. You want to be Team
Yeah.
Evan. And I'm like, all right, I want to be John. Like, that's who I wanted to meet in Dallas. I got to meet him in Dallas, So I was like, I want to be on John's team. So I emailed. And when you email, you're just like, we'll see, right?
Yeah.
I want to say 10 minutes later, I got text message that says your products have been shipped. And I'm like, now I know when my smart ship comes out, okay? So I know we're no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. We were like, hold on, wait a minute now.
Yeah. So I went and looked, and I I was like, oh my God. And then I get an email from John, like, welcome to the 15-day challenge, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to send you the link, this, that, and the third. Fast forward. We do the first round with John, me, and shout out to the Johnny's girls. And just in those 15 days, it was amazing how we're not connected to each other financially or anything, but we all connected. Mm-hmm. We had genuine relationships, genuine conversations, crying, telling each other our good days, our bad days. You know, did we get our water in? Did we walk? Did we meditate? For 15 days? And at the end of the 15 days, we were like, we don't want this to end. So John said, you go, all right, I'll do it again under one stipulation. Go get 5 more people. And we're like, okay. So we each went and got our own 5 people, right? And we did it with him the full out 30 days. But the way that happened changed my life. And being able to connect with people like that in 15 days changed my perspective. And I was like, okay, if this is what this did for me, how many other people can benefit from this, right? Because when you have 30 days, you can go off, you can quit, you can have a cheat meal here and there, no one's gonna know. But when you got 15 days, that's when you have to make a commitment to yourself. And so in doing that, I said, okay, now for me, for these 15-day challenges, it's like, you know what? I want to be a vision carrier to the vision because I see the value in it. And I know that it can really change some people's lives for the good. So in doing that, I've been able to, I've been doing them since November, and been able to really shift people's perspective. We had a lot of people in the groups that I've coached be like the transformation winners. Mrs. Blunt, Makima, Danny, the gentleman that just won, he's in the group. My husband was on the show. So like, it's just crazy, you know, but what I love about it is we're bringing people along on the journey to show them the power of 15 days and the power of when you have a made up mind, you can do anything. When you make up your mind that you want to get something done, you will get it done. And it's beautiful to see, you know, this round have my husband's parents are along the ride, right? His parents are there. And then you have another young lady who is the girl that I called and asked about the products. She's now in it. She brought her mother, who brought her daughter. You know, it's beautiful to see what these 15 days is doing, and then being able to connect with like the David Lambs and, you know, just Tish Perry and Peace Johnson, who was also on the, you know, in the transformation.
She was one of the Tuesday finalists.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing to really connect with these people on a different level and see that this is changing their life. Even if you've gotten a transformation, this is changing people's life spiritually and mentally. It's giving them hope again, you know? It's bringing momentum again. And I love it. I love it. And this 15 days, it's power. It's very powerful. Very, very powerful.
Now, I hate for this to even end.
I know.
But this is a great conversation. This is not even really an interview, but I guess if we want to be technical, I guess this is what it is. But in closing, given your experience, given your journey, I would like for you to share 3 nuggets with someone or individuals who are either thinking about starting a journey, have either started their journey, but they're seeing, oh, this is bigger than just sweating and detoxing. Okay. Or somebody might be in the middle and they're thinking about giving up. Share 3 nuggets that has carried you from beginning to finish.
Okay. So I'll speak to all 3 of those points, right? Number 1, if you are a person that is thinking about starting, right? The first step, like my brother David Lamb says, the first step is just taking the first step. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because when you can take 1 step, you can take 2. When you take 2, you can take 20, right? Take the first step. Make the and ask yourself, be realistic and ask yourself, is where I'm at right now where I see myself 5 years from now? Ask yourself that question. Mm-hmm. Ask yourself, is where I am right now where I want to be in 5 years? And if the answer is no, just take the first step. That's really all it takes. The first step, right? So that's what I would tell the person who's just thinking about starting. Just take your first step. And you don't got to know everything. You don't have to know the end and the beginning. Just know that you want more than what you're currently. So take the first step. To the person that's in the middle, who's halfway in, halfway out, halfway in, halfway out, get in, stay in, and play the game. Now, when I say play the game, it's not about just taking the tea or the NutriBurst.
Exactly.
Right? It's committing to you. You are enough, more than enough, to commit to yourself. Why not? Why would you not want to commit to yourself? You know, I said this all the time. We go, a lot of some people, and I know some people now, they go and commit to a relationship that they're not happy in. They go and commit to a job that they don't want to be a part of or that they don't like. You go commit to all these things that you don't even like. But what if you committed to yourself? What if you committed to yourself? And you don't have to know everything. You just have to know that you want more. That's all it takes, is just knowing that you want more, right? So I would just tell them to get in the game, stay in the game, and trust the process. See, that is one thing I had to do. Trust the process and know that where you are is exactly where you are supposed to be. Don't compare yourself to anybody else in their journey. Don't, because someone needs your story. And I've learned from a very wise friend, okay, that you can't be everywhere, but you were called to be somewhere, okay? You are not called to be everywhere, but you are called to be somewhere, right? And to the person who's thinking about giving up, to the person who's thinking about quitting, to the person who's been taking these products, but they haven't really been, committed. Life happens. But I'll say to them, life is going to continue to happen. Life is going to continue to happen. But the question, again, you have to ask yourself is, are you happy with the life that you are living, right? You can't be you can't be 5 toes in, 4 toes out. You got to be all the way. You got to be all the way in. You got to make a decision. You got to make a decision, and it comes with having clarity. You have to be clear about what it is that you want to get because once you're clear on what it is that you want, nothing and nobody's going to get in the way of that if you really want it. So to the person who's thinking about quitting, don't quit. Don't quit. Do not quit, because all it takes is having a made up mind. And once you have a made up mind, you just take one step, like I said, which will turn into 2. And then after that, you're going to look back and be like, man, I'm glad that I just kept going, right?
Right.
Because the only way your dreams and goals don't happen is if you quit. So what if you did the opposite and kept going? So that's what I would tell those 3 people. Yeah.
Incredible. I appreciate it. Oh, those points were absolutely on point. Not to be cliche, but that's just what it was. I am so happy that I had this opportunity to have this conversation with you. This wasn't really an interview.
No, I felt like I was cutting up, and we was on the phone, but we are on the phone, but
right. And I will say this, and I know you heard this before. Hint, hint, clue, clue. But I go back to that part where Asia told you and Ty to go and touch that stage.
Yep.
I want to say again, and anybody that's listening to this, I want you to catch it. When there's 0 distance between you and it is yours.
Wow.
So I have expectation that in this appointed time and in this appointed season, we will see Ty and Sierra O'Brien on their stage.
Wow.
Period. End of story. And I'm just gonna be so proud and happy, for you guys, for that moment and any successful moment that you have as far as your life, your TLC career, because you guys are really touching a lot of people's lives, and the spirit in which you do it, you can't buy that. You either got it or you don't.
Yeah.
You can't manufacture that. So I love the sincerity that you guys move in, and this won't be the last time that you're on, the Victim No More podcast.
I have to say, Bobby, that again, as we close, I'm just, again, honored. I'm so honored that, you allowed me to share some of my story because, I could, like you said, we could keep going, right?
Yeah.
Keep going, but I'm just honored that you gave me the opportunity to really help someone right now free themselves or have some clarity in what to do. So thank you for that. Honestly, thank you for that because I remember not knowing what to do or who to talk to or what to do. And these platforms weren't available. So I want to speak this over your platform that it is going to different dimensions this year, new heights and new levels. I know it. I know that it's going to be bigger than just Instagram,
I
Facebook.
appreciate that.
Your
Thank
destiny.
you.
I know that. I know it.
Thank you. Thank you. Because when I first started this, the first podcast was June 2nd of 2021. Because the Most High said, Bobby, you need to bring back the podcast.
This is bigger. This is big what you're doing. And honestly, I wish, and I'm almost getting emotional because I wish that I had this when I was going through what I was going through. So you are going to save, if you have, I mean, you already have, but you're going to save so many people's lives with this platform. Trust me. I know it. I know it.
Thank you. Thank you. I received that. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the prayers, all the encouragement, because this is not easy. It's not easy at all. And to do how I'm doing it. And I respect everybody else's platform in our particular niche arena. But I know that this has a different assignment. And so I'm faithful to the assignment. That's all I know to do. That's all I know to do. And I'm serving. I got to do this. So to have someone such as yourself on this platform, just telling the truth, being sincere, being authentic, and then you turn around and, you just speak life as well. I mean, man, it makes it easier. Trust and believe. So I honor you and Ty. Y'all gonna do something great. But just remember, and I'll say it again, when there's zero distance between you and it is yours. All right, family, look, my time is up. I thank you for yours. I appreciate each and every one of you that took the time out to stop by this podcast this evening. And like I said earlier, if you're not already following this powerhouse, hit that drop-down box at the upper left-hand corner and make sure you follow Sierra O'Brien. Trust and believe you will not be disappointed. You're going to fool around and learn something or get inspired. One of the two. Trust and believe. All right.
All righty.
I love each and every one of you, and there's absolutely nothing, I mean nothing, you can do about it. Peace.
Bye, Bobby. Good night.
All right. Good night.